Welcome to this data prep video. You can download the dataset to follow along in your own copy of Tableau. Here we have a report in Excel showing the number of resolved incidents per employee per month. Formatted reports like this aren't easy to do analysis on. The Ideal tab shows data formatted like a database table, or raw data. This is the format Tableau prefers for optimal analysis. However, there are several features in Tableau Desktop to help automatically reshape text in Excel files into this format for better analysis in Tableau. To begin, we'll connect to this Excel file. In Tableau Desktop, select Excel from the Connect pane. Navigate to the downloaded file and click to open. We'll drag out the Resolved Incidents sheet. Although Tableau can connect to this report, we see here in the preview that this isn't a great format. There are no column names, the headers from Excel have a lot of nulls, and so on. Here in the side panel, we see the option to use the data interpreter. Let's turn it on. Now we see that those headers and nulls have been stripped out and our columns are properly identified. We could go on, but if we want to get more specifics on what the data interpreter did, we can click Review Results. This will open an Excel file describing the changes. If we click to the tab we used, Resolved Incidents, we see which fields are being used as headers in red and which are considered data in green. Before we go back to Tableau and our data source, let's take one more look at that Ideal tab. Note that instead of having a column for each month with data underneath, in this format, there's a date column, and each row contains the number of resolved incidents for a unique combination of date and employee. This data is taller with more rows rather than wider with more columns. Back in Tableau, we want to change the format from this column per month layout into a single date column and a single column for resolved incidents. To do this easily, we'll simply select all the date columns. Click on the first, scroll if necessary, and shift-click on the last. We'll open the menu and select Pivot. The Pivot feature essentially merges the information from the original columns and rows into two new columns, Pivot Field Names and Pivot Field Values. We can see that Pivot Field Names is actually our date, and Pivot Field Values can be renamed Resolved Incidents. We can double-click to rename. If we click on the icon here above the first column, we're brought to the metadata grid. This can be a useful view, as the vertical layout can be easier to navigate, especially if we have a large number of fields. It's also useful when tables have been joined or to see the original field names. For now, we'll go back to the standard view. Our data is almost where we want it to be, but there's one more thing we can do. Here, the employee field is actually two pieces of information, a location code, A, B, C, D, or E, followed by an employee number. We can split the column based on the shared delimiter of that hyphen. Click to open the menu and select Split. We'll use the metadata grid view and rename our split fields. Split 1 should be location, and split 2 should be employee ID. There's an ABC next to the date field, indicating that this column is considered a string. We know it's actually a date, though, so we can click on the ABC and select Date to update the data type. Now if we click onto Sheet 1, we'll see our nice tidy data ready for analysis. Let's bring Employee ID to the view and Resolved Incidents. When we sort, it's clear that there are really two groups of employees, some who resolve a much higher number of incidents than others, those who are Tier 2. If we add another data source, connecting to that same Excel file, we see that there's a sheet called Tiers. This report adds a -2 to the end of an employee ID if they're Tier 2, Because not all rows have this ending, a standard split won't work. However, we can use a custom split. Open the menu, choose Custom Split, and we can set our delimiter as a hyphen, and mandate that we want to break off all columns. This forces Tableau to break off that third column with the Tier 2 indicator. Thank you for watching this data prep training video. We invite you to continue with the free training videos to learn more about using Tableau.